Every now and then I encounter something online that really raises my hackles. And that's pretty rare because I like to think I've seen it all. And specifically, I encounter something online that raises my hackles with respect to the manosphere. And not too long ago, a group of gentlemen who sometimes refer to themselves as the Red Man Group or something to that effect, essentially PUAs, although they tend not to use that term anymore since a lot of them are older, made a video titled Rule Zero Blue-Pilled Casualties. Harmless, one would think, but in actuality they were talking about a reasonably young guy, age 31, named Byron Bernstein. Reckful was his screen name, so to speak. A very, very famous World of Warcraft player, streamer, game developer. People knew him. He essentially had the reputation of being the first successful Twitch streamer, very bright. And this gentleman, Reckful, threw himself off a roof and took his own life. And the reason why I'm exasperated by what these so-called red men are saying is because of the opportunism, number one, and also the sheer stupidity. What these PUAs were suggesting, and I'll get into some of the reasons why Reckful did it, was that he was simply blue-pilled. They did not investigate the case thoroughly. The gentleman, that is Reckful's life history, etc., etc., and so they just said he was blue-pilled. Supposedly, in their estimation, he tweeted out a marriage proposal shortly before he took his own life, because it was rejected, although there's no clear evidence for that one way or another. That's why he went about this. And if only Reckful had read Rollo Tomasi's The Rational Male, he would have been okay. He would have been saved. And the usual suspects were there. Rollo Tomasi, then Richard Cooper, etc. I could only come to one of two conclusions. Either one might be right. Either the gentlemen discussing this Red Man Group, these PUA types, are total morons and idiots and don't understand the first thing about psychology, psychiatry, neurochemistry, and couldn't even do the work to investigate the life history of Reckful. And so in this case, they actually might think that the reason why Byron took his own life was because he was blue-pilled, and actually think that by reading The Rational Male he would have been saved. Or it's an exercise in cynicism, in opportunism. I'm inclined to think the latter. They were too lazy to look into it. They're just going to spout what they're going to spout. But the poppycock that they were spouting, and the stupidity, because there's a lot of stupidity there, even if they were just lazy and being opportunistic, does represent a real danger. This notion that the red pill is some panacea for all. But before we get into that danger, let's talk a little bit about Reckful's case. Now, they proposed throughout this video that he was simply blue-pilled. He was not aware. He wasn't red pill woke, right? And so he didn't understand his place in the world with women. They cite, for example, that he was a millionaire, he was successful, he was a famous personality, yada, 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 right? Despite all this, he flung himself off a roof. And how could anyone do that, given those circumstances, given his fame and indeed success with females? In fact, during his life, he stuck his pee-pee almost certainly in many moist holes. Since that is the greatest thing a man can ever achieve in the eyes of PUA types, why did he do it? He was blue-pilled. Now, did they actually look at the guy's history? Multiple suicide attempts before the final successful execution, if you wish to call it that. A long history of depression, and specifically bipolar depression. An older brother who killed himself years prior, and a mother who suffered her entire life from bipolar disorder. When you look at a case like this, and you look at the constant ups and downs, you get a pattern, you get a sense for what happened. Unfortunately, something people are not willing to acknowledge is that just as with physical health, mental health, unfortunately, has a huge genetic component. The fact that his older brother took his own life was also bipolar. The fact that his mother is and was bipolar, and the fact that he was bipolar tells you a little bit of a story. And were we in a position to examine his genome, we could look at things called genetic polymorphisms, essentially genetic markers, that would correlate, I believe, almost certainly, strongly, with a predilection towards mental illness, depression, and these sorts of things. And of course, the environment interacts with that. And it becomes a vicious circle. So what do you have in this situation? A bipolar mother who probably wasn't the best mother, I would have to assume, given her mental illness. An older brother who killed himself, probably for similar reasons. And then finally, Byron, i.e. Reckful, doing it himself. Basically, really, really bad mental health genetics combined with an environment that would accelerate that throughout his life. And suffice it to say, and I hate to be the pessimist, there wasn't very much that could be done for him. He tried neurochemical means. He tried psychiatric medicine. He was placed in a mental ward. He tried mushrooms. He tried marijuana. He tried everything. There was something due to his unfortunate inheritance of genetics that completely screwed him over in life. And yes, he was unquestionably very intelligent, capable, and an extremely good player of video games. And yes, he did get laid and all this stuff. But ultimately, none of that would make a difference. So in summary, on that point, really bad mental health genetics, an environment that creates a vicious circle by perpetuating that through family members, through stress, etc., and you get what you get as a result. But these clowns, these PUAs, actually are proposing that if he just read a book and taken the red pill, he would have been okay. Again, they're either complete morons or they're just really lazy and did not investigate the situation and they're just trying to get clicks and views. And so what I want to talk about really is the danger of looking at the quote-unquote red pill, that is, red pill awareness with respect to women and what have you, as a panacea for all problems. It's not. All it is an awareness of the world and your place in it. It is not going to solve problems necessarily. Can it aid you in solving certain problems? Well, sure. Will it aid you in solving the problem of clinical bipolar disorder that is largely inherited from family members that you are cursed with? Almost certainly not. It's not going to do very much for that. You might be aware of things. You might try to do things. He did a lot. He developed a game on his own. Nearly finished. At the end of the day, it wasn't enough. So we need to acknowledge that there's no magic to the red pill. At best, what it can do is aid you in the pursuit of certain goals. You can become aware of yourself and the world and women, recognize that love, if you wish to call it that, is transactional, and if you want to forge ahead and have relationships and marry, you can do that, all with that knowledge, or you can go your own way. But frankly speaking, barring a miracle, this guy was not going to be saved. And he certainly wasn't going to be saved simply by taking the red pill. What could Reckful have done? Not very much. He was a ticking time bomb, powder keg. Just a matter of time. He might have lasted another year, 2, 3, 4, 5. Eventually, he probably would have done it. And I'm struck again and again, oftentimes, by the presentation of things and how facile this presentation is. No discernment, no subtlety. It's just, if he had taken the red pill, he would have been fine. I've talked about the red pill malaise before. What does that mean? Well, it actually means that, at least initially, and for some people, some men, for a very long time indeed, taking the red pill is destructive, deteriorates you from the inside out because of the crushing news about the reality. It's not uplifting. For a lot of guys, it's not. It's simply not an uplifting reality. The red pill, at best, is a metaphor for awareness of yourself and the world. It's not necessarily going to tell you how to navigate it, what to do. And if you have serious health problems, whether they're mental or physical or both, it's not going to solve any of it. You still need to deal with these problems on their own terms. More often than not, completely separate from the so-called red pill. And this is fundamentally the problem I would have with a lot of the things that go on in the manosphere, and specifically PUAs. These guys have never given a rat's ass about the welfare of men or the things they're going through, and I think this is testament to that. That they're simply claiming that had he swallowed red pills and read a book, he'd be fine. I think, though, as red pill-wearing men, We have an obligation to be discerning about the subtleties of reality and our place in it. Not simply claim to be dispensaries of red pills and pretend that solves every problem in the book. The red pill is not a panacea. It can be an aid sometimes, but just as it can be an aid, it can be soul-crushing and destructive. I've seen many, many men in my time be destroyed from the inside out by the red pill. I knew a guy who took his own life, and the process to get there was accelerated by red pill knowledge. We're all different. There are no easy answers. And it's on us not to lie to ourselves or other people and claim otherwise. Unless, of course, you want to make a quick buck and then you just say, take the red pill, read my book, and everything will be fine. Very, very disingenuous, but I expect no less from PUAs and snake oil salesmen. Anyway, gentlemen, I hope you have a pleasant remaining week. Take care of yourself. As always, if I'm still alive, probably check you out later. More importantly, may the gods watch over you and favor you with fortune. Bye-bye. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoy my content, please consider making a donation or becoming a patron. Thanks for watching.